Okay, are you guys able to see the screen? Okay, okay. So, getting back into the class, just wanted to confirm if you're having any doubts from the previous class. Are you guys just exploring the topics? I think we can have our class in just a discussion manner. Why? Because I think there are only very few numbers in the class. I think there will be no confusion. I think you people can discuss with me, and then you can communicate better and you can learn better, because this class is not crowded at all, so very few people are there. You can just ask questions, you can have some discussion, you can have some queries, or you can discuss something about AWS, or something if you want to learn specifically, you can let me know. I think we can make the class in a much interactive manner. So in yesterday's class, I think in the previous class we have covered regarding this. Main thing is this we got in depth into this IaaS service and PaaS and SaaS. Similarly, we found out what is cloud, hybrid, private cloud, and maybe three types of cloud deployments. And very importantly, cloud services available to replace traditional on-premises. We just discussed what are all the problems with the traditional method, and how AWS is able to solve it. So I think you need to remember these points. These are very, very important. So this point you need to keep in mind, because whenever you attend an interview, these are points which will help you out. So whenever the interviewer might be asking like why, what are the advantages of cloud, so you need to explain about high availability, fault tolerance, scalability, and elasticity. Okay, so you need to go with an example such that the interviewer will be able to understand it better. So coming back to the class, so we'll be covering this benefits of the cloud today, and then we followed by getting inside the AWS. So these are all the foundation things which you need to understand first. So might be this is the last topic for this cloud computing. Then we'll start working with AWS, and hopefully, if everything goes well, we'll try to create one AWS free account also today. Okay, so I think you guys are able to see the screen. Guys, are you able to see the screen? And also, I would like to just ask if you're having any doubts or if you're having anything, you can just interrupt me in between, and you can get your doubts cleared. Okay. So I think I be as interactive as possible. I think because this is a theoretical part, I can understand. But once we go into this practical, that will be uh, much better. I think I'll wind up all this theoretical part today itself. From tomorrow, we can start practicals. So I think till now we are just having the foundation for this cloud computing. So just we'll try to understand what are the things AWS is offering for you. So once you get into what exactly is AWS and what exactly is AWS doing, so why we need to use AWS, so what are all the different types of services which are provided by AWS, and why AWS is best, and why it is not, why I need to opt for AWS services only apart from Google, and apart from Azure, and with various other competitors. So once that thing sets into your mind, you can just get freely into this AWS, and you can work much better if you understand this concept better. Okay, so that I'll try to do today. So So getting back, I think this is one of the last topic in this cloud computing. After this models and after this services. So after this on-premise and this cloud comparison, so I think this is also one of the very important thing which you need to understand. Actually, one thing is I'd like to tell that there are various other cloud benefits available, so you can frame according to your knowledge. That's not wrong, but what happens is there are some standards. So there are some standard principles or some standard benefits which are declared by the organizations. So basically, we can call it as cloud computing benefits. These are fixed. So we can say that there are so many other cloud benefits available, which you can take example and try to explain it to your interviewer. That's not a problem. You can create these benefits on your own. Whatever you feel like benefits of cloud computing, you can explain to the interviewer. That's not wrong, but there are certain things, very certain standard benefits which are which need to be also added. So these six benefits are fixed. That means we can say, we'll say there's some standard benefits, right? So these six benefits which I am telling are fixed and standard benefits of cloud computing. Apart from this six, you can even add more according to your wish. So any other benefits if you find, you can add, but remember that first you need to add this six benefits first. After this six benefits, you can add any other benefits from your own. Okay, so these are all like first advantage. This is capex to variable expense. So these are all important benefits. So this first you need to present, then after your own examples of benefits. Okay, so first benefit is capex to variable expense. As we are all discussing this cloud computing concepts, I hope whenever we are getting into this benefits part, whenever you read this, for example, capex to variable expense, so that itself should ping your mind like, okay, capex to variable expense. Okay, how capex? So capex stands for, okay, capital. So, okay, to variable expenses, to that means running expenses. So how it can be benefiting cloud compute? You can frame the example by yourself. So as we can say capital to variable expense. Okay, then you can immediately frame an example by yourself. For example, the other day we are discussing about this Flipkart website. So Flipkart website, we got one big billion day offer. On big billion day offer, we might be needing more computational power, more number of server, more number of load capacity holding servers. So this incurs a lot of investment. So why you need the lot of investment? To buy the hardware, to buy the software, to buy the infrastructure. So whereas when you are using it in cloud computing, what we are doing, we are just taking it for rent. Okay, so rent doesn't mean that you need to invest lot of money to look after the infrastructure. No, you can just simply take the resources for rent and you can leave it whenever you want. Just it is like a pay as you go service. So for example, if you are using it for 1 hour, you need to pay only for the 1 hour. If you are using it for 5 days, you need to pay only for the 5 days. So getting into the detail, so capital expense, funds used by a company to acquire, upgrade, and maintain physical assets such as property, industrial buildings, or equipment. So this is like a capital expense. So just now I think I have just explained in detail like why what is the capital and what you need to buy in respect to your server side. So here you can see capital part. Here they're just explaining you in the physical assets such as property, industrial buildings, or equipment. So mostly ours will be like, as you can see in the picture, mostly we'll be buying more number of servers, and this basically we call it as racks. So in these each racks, each of our server will be having a position, and all the servers will be connected through networking, such that you can power your website or any other application. So next, coming to variable expense, a variable expense is an expense that is easily altered or avoided by the person bearing the cost. So in this case, you can take the example of AWS. So AWS will come under variable cost. Why AWS is coming under variable cost is you are not buying anything, you are not putting a capital into it, you are not bringing any equipment. So as the definition suggests, an expense that is easily altered or avoided by the person bearing the cost. So that means you are not buying the whole infrastructure. For example, if we are in need of, for example, I will say 10 to 15 servers. Okay. So in AWS, what you're doing is you're not buying the whole setup of 10 to 15 servers. So whenever you want, you can take up, and whenever you want, you can leave it. As just now I told, if you want to use it for 5 days, just pay for the 5 days. Or if you want to use for 5 hours, you can use for the 5 hours, and then you can get rid of it. So that comes under variable expense. So this is the main benefit. Why? Because all the equipment or all the servers which you want, all the load capacity handling thing or the power, computational power. So all these factors, when you are working on AWS, you are not buying it. So what you are doing is you are just taking on rental basis, or you are opting as a pay as you go service. So whenever you ask, someone is asking for benefits of cloud computing, first thing you need to mention it as trade capital for variable expenses. So capital expense, you need to explain these are the things you need to purchase. So whereas in variable expense, there we can get rid of it at any time. Okay, this is one of the main example of cloud computing, benefit of cloud computing. And second thing comes, second advantage is economies of scale. So in economies of scale, what you're doing is in going into detail. So hardware solution are physical and require space, staff, and physical security. So what's happening in this thing is when you want to use more number of servers, so you need to that will be bringing you or incurring you more expenses. So more expenses in the form of space, staff, and security. So these, as you know, that these are all again you need to invest on such things. It doesn't mean that only getting the equipment will solve your problem. No, along if only if bringing the equipment will not solve, you need to again invest more on space, staff, and physical security. Okay, so these are all the things which you can reduce when you are going into cloud, because you need not maintain space, you need not maintain staff, you need not maintain physical security. So all these things are handled by the cloud service provider. So here we are discussing about AWS. So AWS will look after your space, staff, and security. Significant cost to procure and house these resources. So we need not spend any cost to procure all these resources and put and handling these resources at your place. So all these things are done by the AWS only. So no purchasing power. So in AWS, when you are getting into cloud computing services, we are not buying anything. So what we are doing is we are just using the services as for the uh, certain amount of time for certain amount of money. So it doesn't mean that you will be keeping away all the equipment with you. So that means you need not spend huge amount of money for buying any equipment. And you might and sometimes you might be asking like why this Amazon has came into this type of business. First thing is, as you know, first Amazon used to sell books. Then they have to slowly entered into e-commerce market. That means, as you can see, this Amazon website where you can purchase clothes, footwear, or electronic gadgets and all. So the main focus of Amazon was into this books. Then came into this e-commerce. So when they are running this e-commerce website, they were gradually increasing day by day. So the number of sales and the number of visitors or number of users who are purchasing has been increasing day by day. So there was huge traffic coming onto this Amazon website. So Amazon website, which includes this e-commerce website. So that time they were forced to buy more number of servers to handle their customers. So in that way, what happened is they were purchasing so much of resources. They were purchasing so much of resources to handle their users. At certain point, what happened is, as you know, we have just discussed one topic called Big Billion Day. So, for example, there is some deal, the offer period going on. So the traffic will be more. The other time, what happens is the traffic is less. So all the hardware resources which they are keeping for themselves, they're lying for free. So Amazon thought that why we cannot give this extra service which are lying for free for rent. So then the idea of AWS came into picture. Then they have started one new branch in Amazon called Amazon Web Services, where they started to give this extra resources of them for rent. So that is how the business has been started. And also now the business is at that level that it has overcome this ebooks business, and it has overcome this e-commerce website. And the main what we say, the main leading profit maker for this Amazon is now AWS. So it has expanded so beyond, and now most of the profits for Amazon are coming from AWS. Parallelly, they are helping so many upcoming or startup companies or small companies who cannot afford the servers by themselves. So one thing is they are giving service to the startups and small companies to take up this Amazon services and to run their businesses. So that is how they are earning. So now the major profits for this Amazon is coming from AWS only. Okay, so getting back, so economies of scale. So the when any you can also consider, like for example, you can imagine yourself as a startup. So how the startup can get benefit of using this AWS services. In that perspective, also you will be able to understand this much better. So what they are saying is, okay, no purchasing power. As you know, the startups will be having very minimal expenses or minimal investment to put on. So in that case, what you can do is you can just use Amazon services, whereas they will be giving you for this pay as you go service. So again, cloud providers leverage hundreds of thousands of customer to achieve economies of sales. So as you know that this cloud computing business is not limited to only Hyderabad or not limited to only Telangana or not limited to only India. So this cloud business, what happens is it is happening all over the world. So this is a global business. So what happens is even this even the extra servers which this Amazon is putting on, say, for rent when they're free. So these servers can be handled from throughout the world. Even for example, if Amazon is having some as and also I can simply say that you can use this term called data center. So data centers are nothing but some millions of servers connected together will form one data center. So what happens is, still now we were discussing about 10 servers, 20 servers, 30 servers. Okay. So this as you know that AWS is a very bigger company, so they have a huge amount of money to spend on. So what they will do is they'll start building data centers. So what exactly is this data center is, each data center will be running around some 1 lakh to 2 lakh, or maybe some millions of servers we can say. So all these millions of servers run together and they will form one data center. So what Amazon is doing is they are putting these data centers globally. So basically they have divided our globe into several regions. For example, in India we'll say north region, south region, northeastern region, west region, like that. So similarly, Amazon has divided our globe into some regions. So in each region they will be putting one data center. So like that, what happens is they are trying to scale up their business in multiple regions such that they can provide service. So in that way, what happens is they have occupied globally, and they have established this data centers globally. So for example, from here you will be able to use the data center which is located in America, or else some Tokyo, or some other regions, some northeast regions, or some other countries. So sitting here, it doesn't mean that you need to use a data center which is located in India only. No, nothing like that. So by sitting here, you can also use a data center which is located in other countries, even any part of the globe. So these AWS is providing you data centers throughout the globe. So sitting here, you can use any type of data center at any location. So like that, what happens is, it is AWS is doing a global business. So they are that means all the customers for AWS is not only coming from India. So all the customers, they are coming from different parts of the world. So cloud providers leverage hundreds of thousands of customer to achieve economies of scale. So each data center, it can be handling several thousands of customers. Okay. So in this way, you can uh, just you can take this as economies of scale, where you need not put any investment. All these things will be handled by the AWS. Okay. So next important point is capacity planning. So I think you can also just correlate this with an example. So eliminate guessing on your capacity. As I told the other day, we are discussing about this Flipkart, and take the same example of Big Billion Day only. So after doing your marketing part, so your average guess, like for example, if you are guessing that around on this Big Billion Days, around 1 lakh people will be having the traffic. So for example, 1 lakh people are trying to get into your website. So in that situation, you might be planning the number of servers accordingly, and you thought that okay, 1 lakh people will be coming to my website to make purchase. So accordingly, you will guess like okay, 1 lakh number of customers. So imagine the situation where more number of customers are coming. For example, I'll say 3 lakh people are coming at the time. So in that case, what happens is, you will be running short of your servers. So in that way, what happens is, if your guess is wrong, so what happens, you will be losing all your extra customers who are coming to make a purchase on your website. So in that case, when you're using this AWS or any cloud computing concept, so there is no guessing work need to be there. For example, if you are planning for 1 lakh customers, so imagine the traffic is more. So for example, 3 lakh people are coming to make purchase on your website. So what you can simply do is, you can just increase your power. So increase the number of servers which you are getting. So in that case, even you can handle this 2 lakh users, extra users who are coming to make the purchase, just simply by adding the extra servers and taking the support of AWS. So AWS will provide you the extra servers which you are required. And also imagine that the number of this thing, for example, if you are expecting 1 lakh and only 50,000 people are coming, so you can just reduce the number of servers, whereas you can even increase the number of servers. So eliminate the guessing work, whereas it is in for example, if you are taking it in on premise, if the number of customers visiting your website is more, then that time you can't handle, you can't add more number of servers at the same time, or it is very difficult task. Whereas in AWS, it's totally virtual, and it is also happen to be in very simple process. I think this we can there is an option called auto scaling in AWS services, where you can just add your servers, so and also reduce your server, and that option will come option will happen automatically. So that is how it is more automated and more advanced in handling your traffic. This you can be done in both ways, manual way as well as automatical way also. We'll try to explore that in our practical sessions. And coming next, so guessing the capacity, as I think we have just discussed this right now. So what is the potential maximum peaks in usage? So as just now I told, what will be the maximum number of customers? Just guessing. As I told, 1 lakh people and 3 lakh people. So that will you can correlate here. So is there enough resource capacity? So if 3 lakhs people are coming to your website, so how we will be able to handle? Are my server will be able to handle that or not? So is that amount of storage sufficient? And also it doesn't mean that only this computational power is or processing power or load handling capacity is doesn't will not only work. Along with that, you'll be also needing some storage. So that storage is available or not? This even the storage solutions are provided by Amazon. So next come fourth important advantage is speed and agility. I think we have discussed this much better on when you are when you are trying to understand this on-premise versus cloud. So we know how fast we can move on on-premise, like for how fast we can move on AWS. So getting into this deeper to understand this much better. So about the speed and agility. So rapid availability of new resources. So provision resources in minutes and not weeks. So I think this one point will try to, will explain the speed and agility much better. So provisioning things in minutes, not weeks. So what happens is for example, if you are having 10 servers which are maintaining it on premises. So if you want to add more 5 servers, so total you want to maintain 15 servers. So addition of this 5 servers will cost you at least 1 week to 10 days of time. Why? Because you need to make a purchase, you need to provide infrastructure in your location, and you need to bring this infrastructure, you need to do the networking part, and then you need to install the sufficient software to run. So after all this, you need to handle some you need to put some administrators to look after it. So we can say it as manpower. So this all need to be done when you are maintaining it in on premise. Whereas in cloud, so you'll be able to add 5 servers at a time, and usually that will take only few minutes of time. So that is a huge difference. So that is a huge difference which you when you're working on AWS. Whereas in on premise, when you try to do the same job of 5 servers, it will at least take 1 week to 10 days of time. Whereas in adding the same 5 extra servers, so to your website will be taking just a few minutes of time. So that is the difference. So so if that is happening, so increase innovation. So here what happens is, so due to this experimentation, because availability of the resources in very less time, your productivity will also increase, and also you can increase your innovation. So what he's saying is increase innovations, quick low cost experimentation. So instead of buying so many servers, you can just experiment, and you can just handle it. Okay, so leverage prefabricated functionality without requiring in-house expertise. So, for example, as just now we are having the discussion of this adding extra number of servers. So, what we need to do is you cannot experiment. For example, there is some limit. For example, 10 servers need to be connected. So, if you are adding 5 more servers, you can't predict the functionality of it. So, there might be some limitations. So, only 10 need to be connected. If you are going to some 15 servers, might be the networking will be changing, so the use of hardware components might be changing, or you need to make some changes to to your networking boards and all. So that type of experimentation you need not do. So what, so all these experiments will be handled, all we can simply say that all this infrastructure can be handled very smoothly by AWS. So we can simply say it as, we will be calling it as trial and error method. For example, if you are connecting 50 servers, so connecting the 50 servers might work in some case or might not work in some case. So instead of putting all these efforts and working and experimenting, simply we can go and opt for AWS services. So whereas this AWS will take care of all this experimenting, so all these things will be handled by experts. So as you know that AWS is doing this business globally, so you need not sit again, do the research work, try to procure the knowledge and everything. So this all the services which you are getting from AWS will be given by world class experts. Okay, so next comes is increase experimentation. Explore new avenues of business with minimal risk and expense. Test with different configurations. So exploring new things, or adding some new startups, or adding some new types of business, or adding in some new types of features. So for all these things, it can be this using this AWS, it will be happening in very limited time. So that will not only reduce your amount of time, and also it will be increasing your productivity and experimentation. And also it is mentioning you that test with different configurations also. Okay, so whenever you are trying to attend an interview where you need to this explain this fourth advantage, so you can just simply take one example for increasing in speed and agility, how AWS is helping you to do that or achieve this, that you can explain. And fifth important point is spend strategically. So what he's saying is stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers. So as you can say, for example, if you're buying 100 number of servers, so we already discussed that getting the server will not completely do your job. So you need to maintain all the servers. For this, you might be needing some infrastructure, you might be needing some space, you might be needing some power, you might be needing some experts, you might be needing some human resources to look after this servers. So what happens is, so when you are using this AWS services, you are not buying on anything. And also, for example, if you take 30 days of a day, so it doesn't mean that all these 30 days you might not be needing the use of 100 servers. Maybe the average usage if is for example, in between out in 30 days you might be using only 50 servers, only 50 servers throughout the month. Only sometimes, like for example, take the example of this big billion day, or maybe monthly one time or two times. So that time you will be using your peak power, that means the total strength of 100 servers. So that time what happens is you'll be using your all servers. Rest all the month you will be using an average of 50 servers. So that means out of 30 days, 2 to 3 days you are using your peak strength, whereas the rest 27 days, so you are running on average strength of your servers. So what happens is, here when you're working on this AWS, what happens is you need not buy this uh, 100 servers for 30 days. So what you can do is you can have some strategy. So for example, today I will be needing only 50 servers. So you can only spend strategically. That means you need to pay only for the 50 servers. So out of this 27 for this 27 days, you will be hiring or you will be renting only 50 servers. So whereas the remaining 3 days, which with where you will be needing peak power, So that peak, that 3 days only, you will be buying or renting out 100 servers. So that means strategically you are planning your consumption. So this is how it will be working when working with AWS. So it doesn't mean that you will be purchasing 100 servers for the whole month, and you need not you need to look after it. No. So whenever you need, you take. Whenever you don't need, you will be releasing it from using. So 27 days you will be using 50 servers, whereas the peak power when you require that 3 days, that time you will be hiring 100 servers. So you can just add, or else you can also reduce. And all this stop spending money on running or maintaining all your data center. So all the headaches will be maintained by the AWS server. So here what happens is, so this will reduce most of your headache. First thing is focus on customers. So focus on your business. For example, if you are maintaining a Flipkart website, so what you need to do is mainly focus on the, there are two types. One we can simply say is front end, and one is the back end. So front end is where the you will be focusing on your customers. So backend is a place where you will be working on your website and your server part. Okay, so what happens is Amazon, when you are using this AWS services, just you can forget about the background services of your website. So all the infrastructure will be handled by AWS. So here what you need to do is you need to focus on only on your customers, customers and your business. And the formula is very simple. If you take more number of transactions or more number of sales, then you will be getting more profits. So when you are getting into this cloud computing, what happens is all these things are handled by the AWS in the background. So background part you can just leave it to AWS. And the front end, all the customer acquisition or customer sales, you need to look after. So here what happens is whenever you are running a startup or running a business, so 50% of the job, the stress you get relieved when you are using with uh, cloud computing services, because 50% of the background job will be handled by AWS. Only the front end job you need to focus. So focus on projects that differentiate the business. So delegate the racking, stacking, and powering of servers to the cloud provider. So all these things, so racking, stacking, and the powering of the servers. So maintaining all those things. As you can see, all the difficulties which we have gone through this on-premises server will be handled by the AWS. So all the problems to the on-premises will be given the solution from AWS. So ease of deployment. This is very very important. So I think if you are coming from non-IT background, I think I'll just try to explain what exactly is deployment. So you might be in a simple terms. You might be, for example, we'll take example of this Flipkart website only. Okay, so as you can see, the user interface of this Flipkart will be changing every day. Okay, am I correct? So why? Because every day these people are coming for you with different options, so different features. So sometimes they will be giving you an option for weekend sale or Friday sale, or sometimes they can come with option called the weekend sale. So as you can see, the Flipkart website is changing its UI interface every day. So what you need to understand technically is, so technically the developers are doing their job every day. So what they need to do is they need to design the website prior. For example, Wednesday sale, if they are doing this, for example today is Tuesday, so tomorrow they are doing this Wednesday sales offer. So the website need to be changed. So they need to prepare the new website, and they need to host it, or we can say it as hosting. We can simply call it as deployment also in some terms. hosting can also be referred as deployment. So Tuesday's website is project 1 and Wednesday's website is project 2, for example. So project 2 need to be deployed on Wednesday. Why? Because this project 2 is upgraded to the Wednesday's offer. So changing this website need to happen in a very quicker way. So this Tuesday website need to be changed on Wednesday. So Wednesday there will be a new website, so which will be running on this Wednesday offers. So what happens is ease of deployment. So changing the website on according to the daily requirement need to be happened. So using this AWS, that is happening very easily, and also this deployment it will happen only within minutes. So changes will can be made and applied in a very short span. So that they want to explain. Okay, so as you can say, so as you know that cloud computing it is working on globally. So this these AWS is having data centers, as you can see on the map. It is located throughout the globe and throughout all the different sections of the world. Okay, so I think this number which you are seeing now might be very what we say older. This is an older PPT only, but right now they have increased the number of data centers throughout the world. I think around two right now they are showing around two data centers in India. I think the number has increased. Maybe some four or five data centers have already got installed. Okay, so that means whenever you are putting some website or putting some project onto this AWS, so that has this capability of putting all your data on this multiple locations. So from working from this Mumbai, you can also put all your projects inside this London data center. Similarly, you can, if you want to put all your data, you can also put on this Canada data centers. So that means it can also parallelly you can able to understand that. So even if you are sitting in Mumbai, you can also work on the project on Canada. In the same way, if you are sitting in Mumbai, you can also work on project from Tokyo. So that means you can build business globally. So you can just establish global business for using this cloud computing. It doesn't mean that you need to attract only your local customers or Indian customers. You can also establish relations and start building businesses throughout the world. So this is another advantage of using this AWS server. So coming back, so this is a summary. So as I told you, so this I think you need to make note and you always keep in mind. So whenever if someone is asking what are the advantages of cloud computing, you can just categorize. There are six major cloud computing benefits. So first you can say explain trade capital expense for variable expense. So capital expense you need not put, whereas you need to put only on the variable expense. So whenever if you want to get rid of this resources, you can just get rid of the resources. So next, coming from business benefit from massive economy scales. Third one is eliminate guessing on your capacity. So increase your speed and agility. Stop spending money to run and maintain data center and go global in minutes. So these 6 points you need to keep in your head. So when even if you are working on Azure or even if you are working on Google Cloud Platform, these are the basic foundation thing which you need to explain, or this is common where whenever you want to learn this cloud computing technologies. So this is the terminology which you need to keep inside your head. So now I think this is just foundation which where we have tried to understand the cloud computing concepts. So now we can just get into this AWS. So exactly what exactly is AWS, and what are these services, what are the benefits, and what are the different types of products which are offered by AWS. So that will be learning in this slide. Okay, so I think you can just take a break for 5 minutes. and then we can start using this, start learning on this AWS. Okay, till now we have completed cloud computing part, and now we'll be working, start working on AWS. So before starting to work on AWS, we'll try to understand what exactly is AWS and what are all the services provided by AWS. Okay, so we shall take some break of 5 minutes and we can come back. Hello. Yeah, guys, shall we resume? Guys, shall we resume the class? Okay, any other guys who are online? Only I think Vamshi is there. Okay, okay. Fine. So, uh, so getting back. So now I think we'll start working on this AWS. So we'll try to understand exact. Oh, sorry. I think these six benefits you need to remember for your lifetime. So whenever I think it's very very important. So this is standard advantages of using this cloud computing, and coming to this AWS, Amazon Web Services. So whatever we have discussed so far, the advantages, the benefits, and cloud computing services, and cloud computing models, and cloud adoption framework. So these are all the topics of cloud computation. So cloud computing, as you know, it is an terminology, or we can also call it as a concept. So there are various people who are offering us this cloud computing, or this what we can say is as cloud computing concepts. So Amazon is we can also say that Amazon is one of the services or service providers, we can say. So basically, who provide this cloud computing. So we call them as cloud service providers. So in the market, there are so many cloud service providers. So one of them is AWS. So similarly, in the market, you'll be finding several set of other cloud services provider. So among them, Google is also one. So Google is providing this cloud services in the name of Google Cloud Platform. So similarly, Microsoft is also providing you this cloud services, and they call the platform as Microsoft Azure. And Amazon is also one. So they are providing in the name of Amazon Web Services. So these three are the major people. As you know, these are all very huge business throughout the world. They are doing this huge business throughout the world. So prominently, these three are playing the major role in the field of cloud computing, or else cloud service providers. One is Amazon, one is Google, and one is Microsoft. So these three are occupying the major portion of the business, which is happening through uh, cloud. Okay, so these three are the major players, we can say. In this, for example, when you say that operating systems, we'll say Ubuntu, Linux, Microsoft Windows. Similarly, we'll say Apple iOS. So majorly, these three people are having the major role in this operating systems. In the similar way, when there comes to this cloud service providers, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are playing the prominent roles. Okay, so we'll be focusing more on AWS. So what we'll try to get deeper into this AWS. So basically, first you need to understand is the name itself. It says Amazon Web Services. So just I don't make you I don't want you guys to just understand the web services in the form of this definition. So here the definition is actually they were giving this web service definition in a different concept. So a web service is a piece of software that makes itself available over the internet and uses a standardized format for the request and response of an API interaction. So forget about this definition. So I think this web services is a different definition which is not applicable to this cloud. So this I say that this is important, and we can say that because Amazon Web Services. So we need to understand what are all these web services provided by Amazon. So AWS is a secure cloud platform, as we know that, with more than 165 different services that include solution for. Okay, so as you can say that they are providing you around, I think now they are saying is it has only 165. I think more than 300 services so far as on today. So Amazon is providing 300 plus services in the name of AWS. So as you can say that, so we have heard that only we have heard about IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, and hardly three types of cloud models. But here we are saying that we are having more than 300 services. So you might be asking, sir, what are all these 300 services, and what type of services should I focus on? So one thing I'll tell you that don't try to learn all the services. Okay, so you can't be expert on all these services. For example, if Amazon is providing you some 500 services, you need not learn 500 services. That will not make you expert. So basically, what you need to do is you need to select your area where you'll find your interest, and at least if you are learning 3 to 5 services, that is fine. We need not learn all the services, 300 services provided by Amazon. Just like try to learn 3 to 5 services, or maximum of 10 services, or I will say that go step by step. So don't try to learn all services at once. First, you start with one service, become an expert in that service, then you can move. When your confidence is high enough, then you can move for the next service. So similarly, when you are attending any interviews, also don't try to showcase your skill on multiple services. Just tell them where your expertise is. That's it. If even if you are expert in 3 to 4 services, that is good and enough, and the interviewer might be asking you the questions related to that only. So don't try to be a pro in all the different services. Even if Amazon comes and tells you if they're providing 1,000 services, forget about this 1,000 services. Try to focus and learn very limited services and become a pro in that service. So as we can say, they have categorized these services, and again these are all not this this 165 services. So again, for example, this compute section is this. So in the under this compute section there will be more services. So that means you need to understand that there are more subcategories. So content storage and content delivery, this is not one service. Under this section you'll be finding so many different services. So similarly, when you say database, is not a service. Under this, you will have services. So that means they have categorized the services. So we can say database services. Under the services, you'll be finding SQL database, MySQL database, or MongoDB database, Redshift database. There are so many databases. Similarly, in under the networking section, there will be so many services. Analytics section, under this there will be so many services. Enterprise application, under this so many services. Mobile services, under this there will be so many services. So these are so all these services are categorized under these sections. So what you need to do is you need to be trying to get pro in one particular area. Either you can become a pro in compute section, or you might be a pro in some database section, and even under this database section you might be becoming a pro in some set of databases. And don't try to become a pro in all these sections. Sir, I want to become pro in compute, I want to become pro in enterprise, I want to become pro in mobile services, I want to become pro in internet of things. No, that is not the way you will be learning AWS. Okay, so learn dedicatedly towards one service. If you want to stay on compute, try to learn and spend more and more and more time on compute section. Okay, so that such that you can need at least it will at least take 3 to 6 months to become pro in one particular service. Don't try to learn all the services at once, that will not gonna happen. Okay, so in our class what we'll do is we'll try to expose you a little to each of the service such that you can understand what exactly is it, right? So one after getting into that, if you find interest into that type of service, then get deeper and deeper. So don't think that Amazon is giving you some 300 service, I want to learn all the 300 service. Please don't start in such that way. Okay, what I'm saying is, even if you learn one service, and learn it perfectly, instead of learning half of services. So even if you learn one service, learn it perfectly, instead of learning 10 services half of knowledge, that will make no sense. One or two also fine, but learn in a best way. And don't try to put your foot on all these services. Okay, be clear when you start with AWS. So you need to understand what are all the these are all, we can say they have categorized the services, right? So under each category, what are all the services available for you? So for example, here they have said compute. This is one category. Under this, you'll have so many services. So here you can see computational power. So we can say under this compute, you'll have Amazon EC2, Lambda, auto scaling, Elastic Container, Light Sail, AWS Batch. Okay. So don't try to, for example, in this compute section, don't try to learn a complete category. That means you can't learn EC2, Lambda, auto scaling, Elastic, AWS Batch. No, all the services can't be learned but by it's single shot. So what you need to do is under this compute category, just dive in into this EC2 section. So EC2 section where you will be working on instances. In other term, we can also call them as servers. So first you'll become pro in one particular region. So Amazon EC2, you will start with EC2. So in EC2, we'll be learning how to create a server, how to run a server, how to deploy a server, how to manage a server, how to add volumes to the server, how to do backup, how to do run your server on multiple regions, how to install software on your server. So like that, each service will have so many sections for you to learn. Okay, so instead of doing that, just starting with Amazon EC2. Okay, so to Amazon EC2, you'll be creating one instance and forgetting that EC2, and suddenly you're starting working with Lightsail. So it doesn't make sense, right? So if you're starting with Amazon EC2, so you need to learn in detail. So in EC2, what are all we can do? What are all the jobs we can do? So you can create a server. You can create a server with Ubuntu operating system. You can create a server with Windows server operating system. You can install Linux. You can try to learn certain Linux commands. You can try to host one web application. So you need to take a backup of your server. So you need to put an elastic IP to your server. So you need to add volumes to the server, and you need to create a snapshot of that server. So these are all different steps you need to explore on this EC2. Okay, so that is why I have told they are giving you so many services. It doesn't mean that you can learn all the services. No, just select one or two service, three service, five service, fine. But each service you learn, you need to get into deep. So as you need to learn as deep as possible. Instead of learning all this together, I want to learn Amazon EC2, I want to learn Amazon VPC, I want to learn Amazon S3. I want to learn Amazon Redshift, Amazon Elasticsearch. No. So try to learn very few services and try to be pro in that particular service. If you become pro in that particular service, then you shift to the next service. Okay, so that you keep in mind and don't get away with all the service or confusing your mind. So what is this? What is this? What is that? What is that? There are so many things for you, but you make a choice which one you have to learn. So in this computational part, you'll be majorly dealing with regarding your servers, how to handle them, how to do that. So there will be so many different of servers operations. So this is all the different things. So regarding this networking part, you'll be having operation services regarding to your servers, like how you will be connecting your multiple servers, how will you connecting to your on-premise server with uh, AWS server. How will you create a virtual private cloud? How will you connect multiple services? So the connectivity between this multiple services will come under this networking part. So again, coming to the storage, as you know, there are different types of storages. For example, you can see G Drive, OneDrive on online. Similarly, you will find YouTube, so where you will be uploading your videos. Similarly, you will have some mobile storage, so that is a different thing. Similarly, you will be having a hard drive storage. We just call it as volume. Similarly, we call it as SSDs. So sometimes we call it as memory cards. So there are so many different types of storages available on Amazon. So these all services related to that type of operations, storage operations. Okay, so that will be coming under this category of storages. So there are so many different storage for you, sir, but mostly we'll be working on Amazon S3. So we'll try to focus on Amazon S3 and we'll try to focus on Amazon Glacier. Okay, so coming to this EBS also will be we'll also be working on EBS. Okay, so coming to databases, so Amazon is also offering you their self database. As you know, if maybe you're if you're coming from non-IT background, so might have heard about SQL, MySQL server, so SQL databases. You might be heard. So these are all different. There will be different providers for your databases. Similarly, my Amazon has also built some databases like Amazon RDS, Amazon Redshift. So these are all the databases which are provided by Amazon. It doesn't mean that you only can use only this Amazon databases. Apart from this, you can also use other databases also. Okay. So services regarding to your databases will be followed here. So here also we'll be trying to create one database, and we'll try to connect to the database. That also we can do in the practical part. Okay. So next in the analytics part. So analytics is also one of the important thing. So basically, instead of these analytics, what we will be doing is we will be building one server, and we'll try to put an application on your server. So analytics will give you a detailed picture, like how your server is performing. For example, if you're running your server for example 30 days, so you can analyze, so when was the traffic high. Out of this 30 days, you can get in a graphical format. In this graphical format, you can just estimate, okay, on 15th the traffic is more, on 16th the traffic is more. Or else, if you are finding your resources less, how can you increase, on which day I can increase my resource. So how is my server working, so what is my CPU speed, how much memory is consuming by which app. So these are all the things you can analyze. So what we will do is we'll try to create one server, and we'll try to do the analytics on that particular server, such that we can take some decision according to the analytics. Okay, so in this enterprise apps, this I think this we won't be working on in our class. So mostly this will be working like working on Amazon email or working on this docs. I think that we'll not that much focusing on this I think not that much important also, especially when an organization, it will be like an organizational need. If they're specifically working on Amazon email, then you will be learning this. Okay, so next coming to the mobile services. As you know, this specific category is specifically designed for mobiles. So mobile related, we might be getting doubt like what related what related operations can happen in mobile services. So there are, as you can see in the mobile, we are having so many applications. For example, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and there are so many things. You might be asking like how these services are helpful. So basically, one thing is very simple is mobile databases, we can say. So how we will be creating on mobile databases. Similarly, how you send notifications to the mobile. So set of notifications, how you will organize these notifications according to the users, and what are the data you will be taking from the mobile, and how you will be analyzing that data. So that will come under this mobile services section. So we can also use this AWS cloud for mobile services also. And next comes this IoT. So IoT, as you know, there will be only devices. So IoT devices which will be working on sensors, where these sensors will be transmitting the data to the cloud, and from the cloud to the so device. Simply you can say basically some this transportation system where the GPS will be complete always putting out this location coordinates, where it will be carrying this latitude and longitude to the user. So that means basically this IoT project, it will work on, it will come on this IoT thing. So basically this IoT, I don't think we'll be working on. So mostly we'll be working on this compute section, and some of this networking, and storage, database, and analytics. I think don't think we'll have this choice of working on mobile services and IoT. If we are having some time, we can also work on that. Okay. So these are all the core services we'll try to focus on. And don't think that we'll be learning all each and individual service. No, we'll not do that. We'll try to get expertise in one particular area. For example, if we take EC2, we'll explore all the features from EC2. We'll learn in such way. And don't try to think that okay, I'll be learning lambda, I will be learning autoscale, I will be learning beanstalk. No, don't take it that way. Okay. So this thing, and developer and operation services. So this developer tools, management tools, security and identity, I think we'll be working on this security and identity more. And sometime if we get some more this thing, we can also work on this management tool. I think one what happens is when we are working on some service, automatically some parts, some of these tools will be used. For example, while creating this what we say, for example, while creating one cluster for this cluster is different thing. We'll work on this practical part, you'll be knowing. When you're creating a cluster, automatically you'll be using this CloudWatch. So basically this AWS config will be using while creating your server. So these things automatically they'll be having their we'll be touching this while we are working on our service. Similarly, this AWS identity and access management. Similar, we call it as IAM. So this IAM also will be working on. So they basically this AWS key management service. So this also will be working on. So parallelly, what happens is while working on this services only, for example, if we are working on this EC2 service, we are working on this EC2 services. So parallelly, what happens is this EC2 services will also include IAM. It will also include this CloudWatch. It will also include AWS config. So and also it will include this AWS key management service. So parallelly, these also will be learning along with our main services. So basically, so here what he's saying is, so basically when you want to learn it as a beginner, so the things which are highlighted here need to be learned first. So the other thing which they have hidden or just reduce this highlight, so that we can use for learning for the next stage. So when you are working on this initial stages, so they are recommending you to learn the ones which are highlighted. So we'll try to focus on this only. So as I told, we'll be working on EC2, we'll be learning on VPC, we'll be learning on S3 and Glacier, as I've told already. Similarly, we'll be working on RDS, we'll be working on Dynamo DB. So management tools, as I've already told, when while we are working on that, we can also work on this CloudWatch, cloud formation. This I have told IAM. Parallelly we'll be working on this key management services also. So this just nothing but these are the important things which you need to learn while working on this particular category. For example, if you are working, if you are learning on this compute category, you need to mainly and first learn about these three: EC2, Lambda, like that. So similarly, if you are working on this, if you have learned this networking category, you should mainly focus on this VPC and route 3. Similarly, if you are working on the learned this storage category, so in that you need to know what is S3, what is Glacier. Similarly, if you have worked on this database, Amazon databases, so you need to aware of Amazon RDS and Amazon Dynamo. Okay, so these are mainly mentioning that these are important when when you're learning that particular category. Okay, so how to start and where to, uh, how can we, as I have told that we are using all these services. So how to learn that, how to get that access, how can you connect with these services, and how can you integrate these services, and how to use the functions of these services. Like, okay, so they are telling that Amazon is giving you so many services, but how to use, how to start, how to connect with that. So okay, that we'll be learning. So now I think you got some little idea, like what are the categories available, and what are all the service which are there inside each category. Okay, so coming to this, we understood that what are the categories and what are all the different services they're giving you. So what happens is, next, how to access this AWS services. One thing is, the how to connect with services is AWS management console. So this is what, like, this is an online portal where you will be able to get access of all this. So that is nothing but AWS management console is nothing but the website where you will be able to access to the Amazon services. So simply what you can do is, just you can just get into the Google internet. So you can say search for, or else we can say Amazon console. Okay, so you can see here aws.amazon.com, and it is taking to the console. So when you click on this Amazon management console, so here you need to log in. Here you need to log in and get inside the services. Okay, so Amazon management console is the website where you will be accessing your Amazon services. Okay, if you want to create a server, if you want to manage a server, if you want to do all the operations regarding to the databases, or any type of operation. For example, if you want to create this EC2, or if you want to create RDS website, if you want to create an S3, so if you want to create an Amazon VPC, so where you will do all this. So first, it can happen through Amazon Management Console. So where is this Amazon Management Console? So here, Amazon Management Console is nothing but the website where you will be logging in, and we will be creating the services using the services. Okay, so that we can do in this practical part. Once we create this Amazon account, then we can use this service. So one thing is, you need to have an account to use this services. So we'll also learn how to create that account and how to use the services. So one thing is, Amazon management console is the website part you can do. Second part is access on to the go with AWS console mobile application. So what Amazon have done is, not only through the website, they also designed one mobile applications for using the services. But I can say that Amazon, this mobile app is not that much UI friendly, or not all the services can be created or used by mobile. No, all the services cannot be created using this mobile app. There are only limited set of operations which you can perform using the mobile app. But I can tell you that most of the operations, maybe I can say 90% of the operations, are done through the website. So that is nothing but AWS management console. Okay, that is one thing. And that is one way of accessing the services. One is your website, one is through the mobile application, and then one more is AWS command line interface. So this is also one more medium where you will be able to add access your Amazon services. So that this what you will be doing is, there are, so what Amazon have done is, so they have done created some set of commands. So using that commands you will be able to access. For example, I will say in this mostly might be, you might be knowing or not. So mostly when you are working on this Linux operating system, so as you can see, most of the people they'll try to install the software using this Amazon, sorry, using the terminal only. So the terminal is only used to perform all these operations. For example, if you want to install some software app to get some software name, so that command will install the application for you. If you want to access some directory, so that will be done through terminal. So most of the actions will be done on terminal in servers. Okay, so some servers will not have this graphical user interface. They'll have only terminal. The terminal is the access point for everything. So the this terminal in some server operating system, there might not be any browser also. They'll not be using a browser. Simply what you need to do is, you need to know all the commands. So what you will do, so that time AWS Clive will help. So you need to install this AWS Clive, which is nothing but a package. So this package will install all the commands which are required to connect to a AWS service. So what you will do, you will go to your terminal. You will try to connect to your account using your ID and password. Then you can access your services. So that is mostly done using this command line. I think when you are doing this practical part, you can get it much better. When we start using some commands, then automatically you'll try to understand. Okay, so connecting to our Amazon services through command line. And one more thing is software development kits. So I think to understand this much better way, what we can do is, I think you can take example of your mobile applications. So mobile applications, what you will do, so you'll install, you'll go to Play Store and you will install one package. So or else we generally in technical term we call it as APK file. So install that file, for example WhatsApp. So what you want to install WhatsApp on your phone. So you went to Play Store and you have searched for WhatsApp and you have installed that WhatsApp. So inside that software, for example, WhatsApp is working. So you have working on WhatsApp. Okay, so WhatsApp, as you know, WhatsApp will help you to exchange communication messages from one device to another device. For example, I will take two people. One is A and one is B. So A is using WhatsApp and B is also using WhatsApp. So if you want to send the message from A to B, so what happens is the A will type a message, it will send, he will click on send. So what happens is this A message need to reach B. So what happens first, this A's message will be reaching a server, and this server will be storing this message, and it will turn and it will send the message to B. As you know, this A and B are communicating because of some medium, so that we can call it a server. So so there is some medium where this communication is happening, right? So how is this happening? For example, that medium you can consider as AWS. So AWS is the one which is taking our messages and it is sending to the destination. Simply, you can say source and destination. It is taking from the source and it is taking from the destination. So, as you know, that WhatsApp is the application which is sending a message to AWS server and it is telling to send to B. So, AWS server is sending it to the B, right? So, in this way, as you can see, indirectly, these two applications are working on AWS. So for WhatsApp to work like an to communicate with AWS server, we will be using this SDK. So that means when you install this WhatsApp applications, along with that, SDK will be included inside the package. So software development kit. So WhatsApp will also in your WhatsApp, when you install the file, automatically the files which are required to communicate with AWS server will also be installed. So that will help you to communicate with the Amazon, this thing, Amazon Web Services. So three things: one is you can access through management console, one is you can access this command line, one is through SDK. SDK will mostly we can in the simple words, if you want to keep in mind, you can use as some applications. If you are building some application which is using this AWS service, so for that we'll use SDK. Okay, so three ways accessing. Okay, so and the very important one is cloud adoption framework. So now we have understood that how to access these services. If you want to adapt to this cloud adoption framework, how to do that? Okay, so cloud adoption framework, I think this is very easy to understand. Maybe you can just skip also. So the thing is why they have done this is, it should be when you are taking a decision to opt for cloud services. How do you think? So first thing is you need to think it from a business perspective, and also you need to think from people perspective, and you need to think from government governance perspective. How can you maintain it? And you have to think from the platform, how many platforms that the cloud service provider is giving you. And next thing is security purpose, how secure is your cloud. You need to think that from the perspective. And operations, so operation, how easy is it to maintain and update to deploying your website, so how these operations will be. So this is one of the important thing, cloud adoption framework, how a person should think. So when you're doing some job, you need to think from all the perspective. For example, if you are building one product, for example I will say, you are building a Flipkart website. Okay, so first you need to have an idea how the business is, what is the business perspective of Flipkart. Okay, it is an e-commerce website, it is wholly dependent on the internet. So internet through the website, so and through the website there are so many parameters to check in. So that is comes from the business perspective. Okay, then people's perspective, so then governance perspective, then platform perspective, so then security perspective, then operations perspective. So to understand the whole thing, cloud adoption framework, you need to think as an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur, you'll be working on some product. So this product will have multiple angles, and you need to think in a multiple ways, and to choose a better product, or to build a better product. So for that this will help. So I think this is not that much. I think this should help you to understand six core perspectives. So business perspective, for example, if you are using this Amazon Web Services, how is your architecture of approaches align technical delivery to the business? So business perspective, if you need to think. So AWS will give me the proper business, all the things which are required for me are available or not. For example, if you want to buy some groceries, you will be choosing some place where you will be knowing that okay, this particular all these groceries will be available at this location. So similarly, if you are building one website or building one project, first you need to judge where I will be able to get all the resources at one place. So Amazon is the place. So Amazon is the place, as you know, they're giving you all these services. They're giving you computing services, networking services, storage services, database services, management services, identity services. So, but the person need to think from the business perspective. What are all the things you will be getting from the Amazon business? So similarly, people's perspective, what skill are needed to in order to adapt to the AWS cloud platform? You need to think how is it easy, whether it is easy to learn for because each company will be having some set of developers, designers, and testers. So all this, how convenient are my people to opt for this cloud? So that perspective you need to think, including guiding process of role descriptions, training, certification, and mentoring. So AWS, you need to think. So how my people and how long it will take, how much training they require to use this. So governance perspective, so how to update the staff skills and organization process necessary to ensure business governance in the cloud and manage measure cloud investment to evaluate the business outcomes. How to properly manage, how to the process, how to build the process, and is it easy or not. So you need to also think from the governance perspective. Similarly, platforms perspective, if you are building or different types of platforms and different types of tools, are these tools available? For example, if your project is working on Java platform, where this AWS providing or not. Similarly, if you are working on .NET platform, AWS providing this or not. If you are having some specific tools, for example, some analytics tools are there, is AWS providing you that type of tools? You need to also think from the